Hey guys and girls, horror fans, welcome back. Board now, Rachel McDonald. Back to the Wrong Term franchise, Wrong Term 5, Bloodlines from 2012. I have no idea why it's called Bloodlines, by the way. But it's, 10 years ago. Wow, amazing. And you know, with the recent cancellation of Neighbours, what else are we going to be doing but watching the...
I know. Oh
I
my
know,
god, that was
that sent
shock here in
shockwaves
Australia.
through Australia. I'm sure it did. So, Rachel, what else are you going to be watching now that that's all gone?
Oh,
But
who knows? Might have to watch Home and Away instead. But yeah, wow, Neighbours ending
yeah,
is crazy.
it's hot.
37 years. It's been around my entire life.
Yeah, well, yeah, nearly mine as well. So there you have it. Yeah, newsflash. Sorry if we've broken any hearts there for people who didn't already know. But Neighbours no longer as a home. So this time it's all set around this sort of weird, sort of random music festival. So
Yeah, like Woodstock or something. It's
yeah,
weird.
but it seems to be on a theme. It's like the Mountain Festival, something it's called, because there's like a running gag how people keep running into the cannibals, but because it's that sort of festival, they just think they're like dressed up or something like that. And you have a group of like students who at one point they become like the main sort of focus. You've also got like a town sheriff who becomes a main character because a bunch of like the students are like locked up at one point because they're caught with drugs, and it's at a point where they're about to, be killed by the cannibals. And that sort of becomes the focus of the movie, is like the cannibals trying to break this other character out who's sort of like a ringleader for them. He's kind of like, giving them orders and what have you. And he is played by Pinhead himself. Doug Bradley plays him. So you do have a name in this movie. He is by far the biggest name in the movie, and obviously they're really, riffing off his like horror credentials when the cannibals for a lot of the movie are trying to break him out of jail. Rachel, what did you think of this one?
Okay, I have a confession to make. I couldn't finish this film. I am reaching the end of my rope when it comes to the Wrong Turn films. And I couldn't make it through another film of stupid people getting eaten by these hillbilly cannibals. I just like when we've done other franchises, okay, like the Halloween franchise, right? Very long franchise, 11 movies, and I never ran out of steam because I think they kept changing things up, or we had characters that I liked, or we had a villain that I liked, we had, even when they tried to do Season of the Witch, it was different, it was something different. But this
Mm.
franchise is like every movie is the same thing. It's a bunch of stupid people getting themselves into a mess. Why do people keep going to these woods? Here's my question. Like, this is a very specific area. And in this movie, yeah, with like the music festival, there's even the implication that people know that there are cannibals in this area and are still going to a music festival. This is like, why would you go and stay at the Shining Hotel? Or why would you go and live in Sunnydale? Like, why do you keep going to this place that like known cannibals are living at? Oh, what I did manage to get through before my brain kind of exploded from losing all its IQ points was pretty terrible, but it was also fairly standard for what I'm starting to learn is standard in the Wrong Turn franchise. We had a great sex scene to open the film with boobs everywhere and cheesy dialogue, and we had the cannibals being horrible. There was that scene where they had the naked chips strung up on the upside down and they're like cutting into her. And I have to say, this one was really weird because I feel like they wanted us to kind of almost feel a little sorry for the cannibals because like the new leader guy, we're just going to call him Pinhead because I can't remember his actual name. So like Pinhead is like, because he's coming in, he's like obviously like their alpha personality, like you said, he's like their leader. And like there's this scene where he's like smacking them around and like yelling at them and they're like cowering. And I'm like, okay, but like these guys have been our bad guys from the beginning, and now there's like an even bigger bad guy that they're like now scared of. I don't know. We're feeling we're supposed to be attached attach to like these villains. Like if you go into like IMDb or TV tropes, they have names and they supposedly have like
Right.
personalities and stuff. But like this is not like these guys are not Freddy or Jason or Michael. You know, they're not in the same category as like these iconic killers. They're not even in the same category as like B grade killers. They're just they're just the same thing over and over. But how did you go? Because I know you managed to make it through the whole movie. So did you find anything like endearing about this installment?
No, this is up there, I think, for the worst one. We can go through it now that we've done five. We can maybe. I think it's between this and maybe one of the others. This and maybe two. Although I might have rated.
Maybe three. Three was
Yeah, but
pretty
three
bad.
was saved because there were a couple of scenes that were entertaining, at least. I think there are a
Hmm.
couple of scenes that were so dumb they were entertaining, like the whole Wall Street stuff and the
Yes,
conspiracy
yeah.
theory. Um, but I think I did actually rate three a bit lower than two. But in a way, I think maybe three was a little bit more entertaining. Four was a step up.
Four
So
was a bit of a step up,
so
yes, but this is
four
just backslid.
so far is probably the best of the sequels. Do a lot of dumb things in this movie. There's so many dumb decisions, so many like dumb characters, and I think just the overall standard of how the movie's made
Hmm.
is so amateurish and even
It
more
is.
so than the other sequels. I didn't, because if you take Doug Bradley away, he's obviously a pretty decent actor.
Hmm.
Even he, I think, is foaming in sort of thing.
Yeah.
He is kind of pantomimish at times, so I think he's having a bit of fun. But if you take him out of it, the rest of the acting is so subpar, just
Oh,
so
I
terrible.
know, right?
Some of because you get lines that are. I mean, there's some bad dialogue anyway, but you get lines that are supposed to be like feisty or supposed to be like witty or have a bit of spark, but they're just delivered in a really monotone sort of way.
Hmm.
Yeah, the standard of acting is so wooden, so sort of soap opera style thing.
Hmm.
And the way the movie is like, I think the special effects makeup is really bad.
It
Um,
was, wasn't it, for this
but the
one? I felt
creatures,
that
I think they
too.
go to a new level at how
Yes,
rubbish they look.
I agree. They look really terrible in this one, don't they?
I think that's another problem though, is because everything is done so badly and cheaply, I can't even be disturbed at sort of scenes like that.
Yeah,
Really,
I actually did feel that way this time. Like I was supposed to be disturbed, but it looked so fake that it was just kind of like, eh.
yeah, it sort of takes me out the movie really. And there's one scene in particular I'm thinking of where I
Mm.
probably won't say it yet. We'll probably like get to it, but it's a scene where I mean I'll just call it the sledgehammer scene, and it sort of looks like at the end of that scene the character's ankle is like rubber or something. Just so when they cut to it, it looks so bad, so
Hmm.
sort of fake. And there's, as I said, there's some rubbish dialogues, really bland, annoying like characters.
Hmm.
Yeah, really badly made and badly shot. There is one scene with tractor scene. I'll say the
I
tractor.
don't think I got that far, so maybe I
Okay,
missed
so
out
I
on
might have to
something.
describe it to you.
Yeah.
But that actually was one of those so dumb it's entertaining sort of scene. And
Awesome.
that's a scene where I think you would have fun just picking all the holes in it, all the logic sort of holes. And just to watch it is such a train wreck of a scene to watch. Um,
So what, did someone get run over by a lawnmower or something? Or
okay, full spoilers now. If you care for wrong turn five. Okay, so there's a scene quite late in the movie where two of the characters have been kidnapped by the cannibals,
Mhm.
and one of them has been buried under the football field because it's like a football / soccer type field. I think it's meant to be like as Americans would call it, soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is buried under it with his head sort of sticking out, and the other one, I think he was like chained to like one of the goalposts or something. So they're both like trapped on there. So first thing I'll pick out of this is the guy who was meant to be buried under the pitch doesn't look that buried to me. Like, because there's quite a bit of like gaps where it looks like if he just gave himself a
just
shot.
moved.
Yeah, he could probably prepare it. It doesn't look very convincing, and he's like submerged under this sort of football field. But the way this, and I didn't even realise that the guy was chained up until he started trying to help him. Because it didn't look, I never got that impression until it cuts to it at one point. But yeah, the whole scene is that like one of the cannibals, and again, obviously they've really expanded what they can do in these movies, but it's driving like a tractor or a combine harvester, whatever you want to call it. So slowly and very slowly, that's another thing I'll pick out, towards his head. So that's basically the scene. And the other guy's trying to... And you should watch the scene because it's very funny.
I think I might go back and watch it now.
Yeah, so the other guy's frantically trying to dig him out. And what makes the scene so funny is he's trying to dig him out, and he hardly seems to be doing anything to like actually dig him out. And bearing in mind, it didn't even look very convincing, and he was underneath. And at the same time, you got this really slow
cannibals coming along like on the tractor. That's awesome. That's brilliant. Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch just that scene because that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, I was losing my shit. I couldn't believe it, but I think that scene is the highlight of the movie.
That's the pinnacle of the movie. Yeah. I was kind of like, I don't think we're going to get anything good when our opening kill or whatever was a girl getting her finger chopped off. Doesn't she like gives the guy like the finger and he like chops her finger off? And even that looked like the most fake shit ever. Yeah, and then she's like then she just seems kind of like unconcerned by the fact that her digit just got cut off. Like, I know she didn't like lose a hand or a foot, but still, it's gotta hurt to have like
the acting was terrible. It didn't seem like
terrible.
You would be in much more pain than she seemed to be in. Yeah.
So much more pain than she should have been in. And this is what like all the acting was like this. Even in scenes that didn't call for like big emotions, like even just like the first scene with the sheriff and her deputy in the truck, and they're just having like a normal conversation, but it is the most wooden and stilted thing ever. It feels like, you know how when you have good dialogue, it sounds like a proper conversation, like two people have just sat down and had a conversation. But when you have bad dialogue, it's like you can tell when the actors get to the end of their line and are waiting for the actor to then give them the responding line. You know, it doesn't feel like a give and take. It feels more like, okay, I've done my line, now you do your line, now you do your line. And I felt like this whole movie was like that, or at least the parts that I did watch. Like the college students, when they're trying to give us their introductory thing and they're all sitting around the fire and stuff. Like, again, it just feels like I'm going to say a line, now I'm going to say a line, now I'm going to say a line, as opposed to like having actual natural dialogue. And like these movies haven't been the best when it comes to dialogue or when it comes to characterization, but I feel like this one just reached like a whole new level of low. Like just everything, like aside from Pinhead, I don't think anyone in this movie was really like good at all. Even he wasn't that. I mean, everyone just seemed to like just be going through the motions.
He might have been phoning it in a bit.
3 fingers. I was like, what? Who is running this makeup department? It looked like a bad mask. It was truly terrible. Yeah, and again, like these films don't have much going for them in general, but one thing the earlier films did have going for them, and we talked about this with the first film was the makeup was really good. You know, it made us believe in these characters. It made us believe in these bad guys. But no, this movie, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they got a new makeup artist, but it was terrible. And I think that like everything felt very amateurish, like you were saying, like everything about this, the direction, the script, everything felt very amateurish, very low budget. Low budget's not necessarily a problem. There are some great films out there that are low budget films, but this felt like a low budget film. There's nothing in these movies for me to grab onto. You know, like I was saying, when we were doing Halloween, at least I have Michael Myers in every movie. So even if it's a bad movie, I have a bad guy that I like, you know. Scream franchise, just love all of those. Even franchises that are other longs, like The Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th, they have things that are changed up, that are different. They might not always work. Sending Jason into space, that was a weird idea, but you know, at least it's different. This is like just the same thing. I mean, the last movie was okay. Like we talked about how the change of scenery was a little bit better. We had some slightly better final girls, but it just feels like almost every movie, especially with 2, 3, and now this one, we are just watching the same thing over and over again.
You find it credible then this guy, you know, the Doug Bradley guy would be able to keep them as slaves and like boss them about, because we've seen in the other movies, then the cannibals, they're not really the sort to take orders, and they don't really think like that. So I think that's a leap, and then it's even more of a leap than they would then try and sacrifice themselves to try and bust him out.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
The whole movie, and as the movie goes on, it's almost like in their minds maybe they're trying to do like the Wrong Turn version of like Assault on Precinct 13, because and together like her and the prisoners sort of thing. Stupid like sheriff, a really stupid sort of cop. You know, because at one point she just lets this prisoner out of his cage because he's getting all like worried about being in the same cell as, you know, creepy old guy, and then she lets him out, you know, for what, but then doesn't put him in another cell, just trusts him. Like, I think she's giving him, I can't remember, well, he asked to get out because he didn't want to be in that cell, but she just trusts him because she sort of knows him, because she knows him by name, but drugs, the others.
They were his drugs, yes, let the others go. Yeah, so I remember that.
And yeah, they just let them go like it's nothing. Sort of. It's everything's so sort of easy, and yeah, there's just so many dumb decisions in this movie. You get, again, I'm not sure how far you saw into it, but you get the girl who becomes the final girl, Lita, her name is.
Yes, Lita, yeah.
Like she's just getting sort of like manipulated by the Doug Bradley character. He's just playing mind games, saying, "Oh, we can't trust the sheriff," and that, you know, my boys are out there. That's so he's trying to convince her. Well, he's trying to make a deal with her. Then, if you let me out, my boys and I will just go off, and we'll leave you alone then, and. There's a really dumb argument that he makes, which, of course, because she's starting to, because he's playing the whole idea of, well, she's the only sheriff here, she's the only cop around, there's no one else around, so the odds are against you because my boys are coming, sort of thing. So, but he makes, like, because he gets quite sexist at one point, because he makes the argument, oh, she's just a woman, so but what's dumb about that is Lita's a woman as well, so you're making that argument to another woman. And it's so, and also, even if you follow the argument, even if Lita goes, well, okay, yeah, it's true, then she's still not going to be like convinced by it, sort of thing, because it's like, yeah, you know, I'm just a woman too, sort of thing. So it's just
complete lack of logic.
It's just stupid. Sometimes he's like reading a story, like the way he does it, like, because he's stirring all this shit up in the cell and stuff. And there's one, because they don't really do anything with the festival, even though it's meant to be set around this festival. That they don't really do anything with that. It's weird because you get this one scene there, and the only reason this scene takes place, I think, must just be because it's another way to like tie up another like local cop, because the whole thing is the cops. This one sheriff Carpenter, her last name is left isolated at like this prison. So you get this scene at a festival where this hot girl starts flirting with like the security guy, and it's so that she can. First of all, I don't really get this. If she's already inside the festival, why does she need to flirt with someone to get inside to see a band? Surely, if you've bought a pass and that for the festival, you can go anywhere you want. It doesn't make
that doesn't make any sense.
You don't have
It's like private events within the festival. That's
yeah,
weird.
I'm sure she's meant to be already in the festival, but and then you've got the whole thing about but she actually sleeps with him. I mean, surely. I mean, I guess boobs, but surely just a kiss or flirting with him would have done. That probably would have done the trick if that's what you're going for. Because he's either going to go for it or he's not. I mean, there's no real need to go the full hog and actually sleep with the guy.
No.
So that was a baffling scene. It seemed to, because she was just a random girl. She wasn't even part of the main group.
They just wanted to show some boobs.
Yeah, and I think it's just a way to tie up another cop. I think that's the only. So they just did a random storyline to tie up another cop in the town. On the screen saying 1814. What was all that about? I don't know if it's something to do with the festival, like maybe the festival.
Oh yeah, they did too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because this is apparently, according to Wikipedia, this is actually supposed to be a prequel to the original. But I mean, 1814. Obviously, it's not set in 1814. But maybe that's the year that I got nothing. I have nothing.
Well, the only conclusion I drew is then it's that maybe this festival is themed on, those sorts of times. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe. There's a lot in this movie that
definitely came up on the screen. Because when it came up, I thought, okay, we're doing some sort of flashback. We're doing maybe an origin. But then I saw a car there, and obviously a modern car and what have you. So yeah, I knew it couldn't have been 1814. But
time, maybe it's supposed to be like. What would 1814 be? 614? Is it 6? No. Yes. I don't know military time, but that's my only.
Yeah, no, it's 614. Stuff like the back and forth with Carpenter and with the Bradley character, where it's like you really don't know what you're getting yourself into, and she just says in a bored way a lot of paperwork, I would imagine. And it's like, come on, you can do better than this. And some of the other sequels, I think partly what saved them were then you had one or two decent kills. The kills in this are rubbish. There's just so. I think a lot of it again is to do with how bad everything looks. So I think it's obviously borderline. It's hard to say really if this is the worst sequel because it's got a fair bit of competition and of how amateur it looks. I think it has set a new bar for that. And the kills are rubbish. The characters are rubbish. I don't really care. I'll just, because obviously you didn't see all of it, I'll just explain then in the end, because that stupid Lita, that dumb bitch, obviously let him out, let the Bradley character, he talked her into it. So he and that dumbass Carpenter at one point even leaves them alone. Like, she's dumb enough to do that. Like, just leaves her
I feel
alone.
like she's
So it's
begging to be killed.
I'll be back in a minute, and
Yeah, oh, sure, you
inside,
just sit
'cause
tight here. I'll
there's
just come
stuff
back.
going on, and yeah, so Lita lets him out. Lita's got a gun, so she's she's at least got a gun, so she's sort of like holding him up, and whatever the deal is, I can't remember the full details of the scene, but she's got a gun, and then it was just shot in a really weird way, because what happens is she ends up losing her eyes, but the way the scene is like cut is it sort of looks like he did something like really fast, because you have to bear in mind she's got the gun and there's a decent like distance between them. It's not like she's right close to him. So, and he makes some sort of like one-liner about eyes or something, and so I wasn't sure if they were saying he had some sort of powers, because otherwise I have no idea how he like disarmed her and you know, got to her to do what he did, because it cuts away from it and it sort of goes to the street then and what's happening outside, and then it cuts back later and she's got no eyes basically. And she runs off, so obviously you sort of know you're going to see her again, but she runs off. So, but it was just shot in a really weird way where I wasn't sure if I guess he must have just quickly disarmed her, but it wasn't really logical, because there was like a distance between them and she did have the gun pointing at him. So Carpenter ends up being like locked up by Bradley, his character. Carpenter, although she was dumb, I think she was a reasonably sympathetic character. So, and obviously to a certain extent, like Lita didn't really do anything wrong. So I was kind of hoping at least one of them will survive. But he sort of does this whole trick with Carpenter's character, where like her feet are sort of like connected to like detonators.
Oh yeah, I read about that on the TV Tropes page. Yes,
Yeah. And yeah, it's something like, you know, she has to keep her balance or something like that.
Yeah.
But she's basically she's basically screwed by the end. So I was a bit sad. I sort of wanted her. I thought she deserved to survive, and so she goes. So that wasn't too bad a scene. That was a bit different, at least. Better movie. The ending might have actually been quite good and might have landed, but because this movie didn't really earn the ending, then I didn't really care. So the sort of twist is because Lita can't see, because she has no eyes now, she's like wandering down the highway, and it's a little convenient, but she comes across their car, you know,
of course,
Bradley and the cannibals, their car sort of thing. And so that's sort of the twist, and there's sort of an irony because she can't see. So at first she just thinks, because she is like hitchhiking, first pretend that they are like regular people, and then they get her in the car and they reveal, and you know, he does the evil
reveal who they are,
and she knows she's screwed, and it drives off, and that's the end of the movie. So as I said, probably in a better movie that ending might have landed a bit more. What are you going to rate Wrong Turn 5?
Okay, well, I normally don't do this, but considering I couldn't even finish the film, it gets a 0 from me. Because I just I couldn't even finish it. I felt like my brain cells were dying as I was watching it, and there was just nothing in it. There was like we said, like you said, some of the previous films had some decent kills, a couple of them even had some decent characters, but this, between the low budget makeup and the bad effects and the let's sympathize the cannibals and make out that these chaotic evil dudes suddenly have a leader, bad characters, bad dialogue, I couldn't even finish the film. So I never do this, but considering I couldn't finish it, big fat 0 for me for this film. What about you?
I'll go with 1, which I know is. I mean, I might give it 1 for the I keep saying lawnmower, but the tractor scene, which was
the tractor scene. I'm
Um,
definitely going to go and check that out.
yeah, you should. You should. That's a really funny scene. Doug Bradley's obviously decent in it, at least, and there's, I guess, there's certain, because there's not really that many scenes that are so dumb they're entertaining. Maybe they seem more entertaining when you're talking about them than watching them in the actual movie. Because I mean, luckily it's another short movie, like most of these movies have been, but it's still a bit of a slog to get to for me. I'd definitely say it's a 1 out of 10. So that's Wrong Term 5, Bloodlines. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, like and subscribe, and we'll return fairly soon with Wrong Turn 6. We're obviously doing other things as well, but we've just got 2 more to go, and at least one of them is meant to be good, at least decent.
Yes.
So it does pick things up, sort of like bookends in a way. The franchise started off pretty well, and then we're at least going to end on a high, maybe, from what I've heard of that new Wrong
Fingers
Turn.
crossed. Well, it cannot get worse than this. I mean, I know I'm tempting fate by saying that. Like, I feel like because we've still got 1 to go, but I feel like it can't get any worse. So we'll see how it goes.
You would hope not. I mean, shout out to a regular Camille, because she did actually say 6 is the worst, but
oh God, thanks,
I
Camille.
still can't. Yeah, I can't really imagine. But we keep saying that with this franchise, don't we?
Yeah, we do, don't we? And then it gets worse. So maybe we should just
doing the Hellraiser films at some.
They will be better. Yes, those will be more fun to do.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. For days, actually, I've started turning like some of our reviews into audio podcasts, so you can find them on certain platforms in audio form. So you can download, and if it's the sort of platform where you can give a review, you can sort of give a review and a star rating. But it's a work in progress. I'm still finding the best way long term to do it. But you can, for example, find a few episodes on Podbean. So that platform, you can find some of our early reviews on there, like the Fear Street trilogy I put on there, the first Halloween movie, the second Halloween movie is on there. So there's a few on Podbean, and there's a few also, I think, on Amazon Music, so you can get them there. And randomly, this New York station, which apparently I can't get access to in the UK, but I can't. I put it on Twitter, actually, the link. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can find the link there. So see if you can get hold of it. But that might just be an American thing. But yeah, that's obviously another way you can support the channel is you can download the podcast on one of those platforms. And I will broaden out. I'm going to try and get it on like Spotify and also on Apple, podcasts, some of the big ones, other big ones. So yeah, keep looking out. But it's obviously getting out there, and over time, hopefully, I'll have most of the episodes we've done up in audio form, and you can actually download them and take them with you, which I'm sure is a scary thought, really, for people to have us with them, in their back pocket listening to us. But anyway, yeah, thanks for listening, Rachel. If you want to promote your channel before you go.
Yeah, guys, you can follow me, Rachel McDonald, video essays covering TV shows and movies, mostly TV shows from the late 90s and early 2000s. And my Tumblr and my Twitter are also listed on my YouTube account, and Keith usually puts a link in the description, so come and follow me everywhere.
Okay, thanks, guys. We'll be back with more horror reviews soon. See you later. Bye.